the 8th consecutive season, the PBA is in Fountain Valley, just south of Hollywood. Today is the 12th singles event of the season and the last before next week's third major, the USBC Masters. We welcome you to the Denny's Dick Weber Open. Glad you're with us here in Orange County. I'm Rob Stone, and what a fitting time for the PBA's most marketable talent, Pete Weber, to make his TV debut this season. It was almost to the day 4 years ago that his legendary father, Dick Weber, passed away, and here's his son, Pete, trying to win his first title in nearly 2 years, and the tournament named in honor of his father. Dick Weber, one of the true legends of the game. He won 8 of the first 18 PBA Tour events in history. He eventually concluded his career with 30 titles and 6 majors. Dick Weber, the only player to win in 6 different decades, and was named the 1965 Player of the Year. And the pins don't fall far from the rack. 46-year-old Pete has won 34 tour titles, including 8 majors. A win today, and only the greats Earl Anthony and Walter Ray Williams Jr. will have won more career titles than PDW. 13-time titleist Randy Peterson joins us right now, and for Pete, it's been a wonderful run, but not an easy one for him, trying to get out of the shadow of his dad.
Well, yeah, I mean, Pete grew up in the shadows of one of the greatest players of all time. Dick Weber was so well respected on and off the lanes, and it was a tough spot for Pete to be in. He knew he had some huge shoes to fill. And I think the turning point for Pete was when he surpassed his father in career victories. Once that happened, I think Pete found his own new identity. He was no longer just the son of Dick Weber, he was PDW.
It was a different era, but if you go stat to stat, Pete is well above his dad. Again, completely different eras. Hard to compare that. Pete Weber is your number 2 seed today in our stepladder format, and it is a good-looking format. Should Pete win his match, he will take on fellow Hall of Famer, number 1 seed Norm Duke. Ryan Schaefer's the number 3 seed, but we begin with Michael Fagan seeking his first singles title versus reigning Player of the Year, Chris Barnes. Always a strong crowd here in Fountain Valley, just south of LA. And there's a live look at Michael Fagan, the 28-year-old, 7-year pro, taking on the reigning Player of the Year, as we just mentioned, Chris Barnes. Fagan from Patchogue, New York, on Long Island, about 50 miles east of Manhattan. Has one Lumber Liquidator PBA Tour title on his resume, that a doubles title that he won last season. Looking for his first singles victory. Kicks it.
A very unique style, and we've got a variety of styles on today's telecast. A lot of that due to the demanding oil pattern. We'll get into that a bit later.
Here's Chris Barnes, 11th year on the tour, 38-year-old from Double Oak, Texas, seeking his first title of the season. Looked like a good pocket hit. Avoids the 10.
And you're right, Rob. It is a good pocket hit. Unfortunately, the 6-pin's going to go around the 10. Leaves that vicious ring in 10. The good news is the ball's in the pocket. And talking with the players this week, they said, you know, any ball that doesn't hit the pocket has a great chance of turning into an open frame.
We're going to talk more about the oil pattern coming up in our broadcast, but this will give you a clue of just how demanding it is. Talked to Chris Barnes yesterday, and he said, I brought 19 different bowling balls with me this week and used about 17 of them. Normally, if I make a show, I use 5 or 6, just 5 or 6, and of those 5 or 6, mainly just 2 or 3.
I think Chris is smiling after that shot because if you were listening, this ball here was a little double dribble right at the foul line, and this ball ends up high flush. So I don't know if that's something that Chris wants to duplicate throughout the match, double dribbling each shot into the front part of the lane.
Hey, if it drops all 10, double dribble all day. 10 is not going to get pushed. Fagan, a strong start this season, opened with consecutive 6th place finishes. This will be his 4th top 10 of the season, but by far his best result of the season. Made today's telecast by all of 4 pins over Tony Reyes. Takes care of the single pin conversion. Clean game so far for Fagan, and that's good for a youngster who's looking for that first singles title. Get that confidence.
Michael doesn't have a lot of television experience. This is only his 5th show, and as you alluded to, only 1 win, and that was the doubles with Danny Wiseman last season in Vegas. And, you know, early on, Michael's just trying to avoid the protein spill, try to get his feet underneath him and gather his nerves. And then after that, just try to somehow find the 1-3 pocket on, again, a very demanding oil pattern.
Strike for the 3-time All-American at St. John's University.
Big high backswing. He said he kind of mirrored Pete Weber's style growing up, and that's why he's got such a high backswing. Pete Weber's backswing in his younger days was almost vertical. Today you'll see a much lower backswing, but that comes with age and years of bowling.
That one heavy. And again, this oil pattern makes you adjust, Randy, almost every single shot.
Yeah, it does. There's a lot of transition that's going to happen today, and that's just because of the oil pattern itself. But also here at Fountain Bowl, the players going from lane to lane, pair to pair, were always on guard.
Single pin conversion there for Chris Barnes. He had an opportunity in Reno. He's going to love this flashback. Taking on Patrick Allen. Late stages, left the 7, and might have rushed a little bit. Hated it as soon as it left him. Open frame, and that handed the match to Patrick Allen, who would go on to win that title.
And it was an awful break, and it couldn't have happened at a worse time. And then Chris started calculating the scores and just lost focus and missed it.
There's his 2nd strike of the afternoon. The conclusion of Fagan Barnes when ESPN and the PBA return to Fountain Valley.
The Lumber Liquidators PBA Tour on ESPN is brought to you by H&R Block. Go to PBA.com and sign up to win tax services for 5 years and $5,000. H&R Block. You've got people. By Lumber Liquidators. Hardwood flooring for less. By Denny's, where America's favorite breakfast is now available to go. Real breakfast 24/7. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save 15% on your car insurance. Visit geico.com.